Hello YouTube and fellow DC comic fans, I'm Keith Oneshot, and this is my Comic Complete dramatic reading series, and today we will be covering Batman Detective Comics, issue 957, The Wrath of Spoiler, from DC Rebirth. All art, text, characters, and storylines belong to DC Comics, not me. If you enjoy these stories, feel free to go out and support DC Comics in your local comic book shop. Let me explain how it works in Gotham City. It always starts like this. The days are the oasis, calm, peace, protected. Then the sun goes down, and the lights come up. The stage is all set. The actors play their usual parts, waiting for monsters to come out. The spoiler narrates to us. As we start this issue out, we see Detective Harvey Bullock on top of the roof that houses the bat signal, and Harvey is guarding it, as he says, 5 times in 3 weeks. Now let's see you trash the signal with Harvey Bullock around. Harvey is eating donuts while guarding the bat signal, and he notices a cockroach on one of his donuts. Then he notices his whole box of donuts is covered with cockroaches, all looking for a meal. While Harvey is distracted with that, we see the spoiler jump down and sabotage the bat signal as she continues to narrate her story. They came from everywhere, underground, out of the sky, looking for something, some missing thing that will make them whole. They tear through anything in their way, knowing that at some point they'll have to go through him, Batman. So they call him out, loud as they can, full of threats. Batman comes and beats them up. They go to jail. One big happy ending. The spoiler goes on to add that there's a twist. Every step along the way, people get hurt. The spoiler tells us that innocents are hurt most, the same people who look up to and trust superheroes to save the day, and that if you ever met a superhero, it'll probably be the worst day of your life. She is Stephanie Brown, the spoiler, and it's her time to let us in on a little secret. Stephanie tells us that Batman and superheroes are more of a burden, how people need to fear so they can overcome and handle things on their own, and not look to heroes who won't always be there to save them. As the spoiler is finishing sabotaging the bat signal, Harvey Bullock gets a call asking him to turn on the signal as there is something big and ugly going down. Harvey goes to turn on the bat signal and instead, it explodes, and the spoiler jumps off the rooftop. Harvey sees the spoiler and shouts out, "If I ever catch this jackass, I'm gonna pop his eyes out of his head." And then the spoiler thinks to herself, I'm not a superhero anymore. I'm the spoiler. I might as well play my part. We are then brought to the location of the big bad ugly thing going down, and the streets are ablaze, cars are on fire, and the GNN building is surrounded by SWAT teams as people run in fear and panic. We then see the source of the destruction, and he says, "Let me explain how it works in Gotham City. You want to know how the Joker became the Joker? He interrupted a broadcast to announce Henry Coleridge, the diamond magnate, would die at the stroke of midnight. Then he did, with a huge grin on his face. That's how you get ahead in this world. Not with patience, kindness, or words, but with wrath." Wrath and his men are going through the GNN building with purpose, killing the security who get in their way, and Wrath says, "The louder, the more violent, the faster you claw your name onto this list, then you have to fight to keep your spot, and everything becomes..." Wrath is interrupted by one of his men, killing a security guard, and so Wrath stops and says, "You interrupted me and wasted this man's death. I told you on camera." And then Wrath kills his own man. Now in the main newsroom of GNN, Wrath and his men tell everyone, there's only one threat you have to live up to. Batman. It's always Batman. Wrath and his men begin gathering hostages as he plans on delivering a message to Batman, live on GNN. He says how after this, there won't be any A-listers left, just him and everyone else. And Wrath says, "I'll play the game. I'll promise Batman dead, live on TV, and Batman will come, a willing victim," as Wrath kills him as he promises. "You solve the hardest problems first. The rest is easy. Cause and effect. They'll come to test me, but dealing with them is simple equation. They'll follow the man who conquered Gotham anywhere, especially when they actually see where I'm really aiming. That's when the real fun starts," Wrath says as he gets ready to go live with his message to Gotham and Batman. "Good evening, Gotham City. I am Wrath. I've come to destroy one of you, only one of you. For years he has walked amongst you like a..." Then, the cameraman interrupts Wrath's message to tell him that the broadcast isn't going out. The transmitter is glitching. Wrath tells the cameraman, "You have 10 minutes to fix it, and for every minute you go over, I will fry one of the hostages at random." In the tech room, where Rath's men are bringing the cameraman to fix the broadcast signal, we see the spoiler on the ceiling, waiting to strike and take them down. She thinks to herself how she'd normally run in with machine guns blazing, because she was used to working with a team, knowing they always had her back. But Spoiler also questioned who had the backs of those innocent victims whose lives were put at stake due to all of Gotham's supervillains. Spoiler questions who's there to stop her friends when they go too far. Spoiler then says,
I gave that all up after I saw what the price of heroism really cost. I tried to tell them, after Tim, after all of it, we weren't saving anyone. We are magnets for more monsters. Every public beatdown, it encourages them. And Batman, he just looked at me like I was crazy, grounded me like I was a kid.
Spoiler then goes on to say,
sure, it's about saving lives, but it's also about proving a point. No one needs superheroes, except for the super problems they bring with them. Regular people have handled things just fine. I'm going to show Batman and Gotham both. Remind them what people are really capable of, even if I have to technically cheat to do it.
The spoiler strikes down and makes quick work of Rath's men, and then she grabs one of their helmets and says how all the suits are linked together, so they are easily exploitable. She then begins hacking into the helmet signal. Then the spoiler says to the cameraman, this will be over soon, just not how everyone would expect. Then she thinks to herself how she left the team, so she could spend all of her time staying one step ahead of them. We then see Rath telling the hostages the more they struggle, the tighter the band around them will get. Rath then tells them, you control whether you live or die, the way it should be. That's why I'm here, to free us from Batman. No more policemen, no more gods, no monsters. Rath knows someone is here to face him, and so Rath says, Batman, at last, I had something bloodier in mind. Come out, I'll show you. It's as if you want to die. You're the past after all. Old systems, old way of thinking. Rath begins blasting the room apart, attacking everything with his energy from his gloves. As he tries to draw out his attacker, Rath says, all whispers and no shout. Show yourself. I've done everything required of me. Now I want my shot. I'm your future. Fight me! As Rath is attacking the room, the spoiler is thinking to herself, always storming in, stealing the show. No matter who gets hurt, I always wanted to be as good as him, better than him, and now I am. Better for this city, for the ones living in it. Just then, the spoiler is done waiting, and so she triggers the hack on the Rath suit, which zaps him and sends him to the ground. Rath cries out, what did you do to my suit, you coward? It's not fair. You owe me a spot on your list, Batman. You cheated. There's a code, a way of doing things. Spoiler then smashes Rath with a few quick punches and ends him. Spoiler then thinks to herself how she recorded all the fights she had with Batman and recorded his voice so she could listen to it when she needed to get angry, to remember why she's doing this, and to help her fight the urge she has to run back and to tell him and show him what she can do and how right she is. After the spoiler leaves the GNN building, she is confronted by the GCPD, led by Harvey Bullock, and Harvey tells her to put her hands on her head. Spoiler tells Harvey how she stopped Rath and his men, and how they're inside for them ready to be arrested, and Harvey tells the GCPD to keep them aimed at Spoiler, and Harvey says, you're the one who keeps destroying the damn signal. I recognize that mask. Spoiler replies by telling Bullock there's a donut in it for him if he lets her go, but Harvey isn't biting, and he tells the GCPD to arrest her. Spoiler says that she's sorry, then she throws down smoke bombs so she can escape. She runs across the rooftops, and then takes off her mask, as she thinks to herself,
I rewrote the story, every step. When GNN reports this, all of the credit will go to the cops, and not a caper cow. Now I got a plan for the next one. This time, no one will know I was there. I'm no hero. I'm definitely not a villain. I don't know what the heck I am anymore. A voice replies to the spoiler saying, you were amazing tonight. You approached it from such an elegant new angle, tearing down the system, finding a new way to fight crime in Gotham. His hand then grabs the spoiler's shoulder, but she throws him away, down to the ground, and says, you're... The voice is shown to be the anarchist, and he replies to the spoiler by saying, here to help, what do you say? And that ends issue 957 of Batman Detective Comics, The Wrath of Spoiler. Comic published by DC Comics. All rights, story, art, and characters are owned by DC Comics and their respective owners, not me. This has been Batman Detective Comics, issue 957, The Wrath of Spoiler, and I'm your host, Keith One Shot. If you like this video, make sure to support DC Comics and pick up a copy of the trade or single issue comics. Support your local comic book shop, take care, and have a great day. Goodbye.
I'm Batman.